What is going on, college basketball fans? Today, we are back with some more conference tournament predictions, and we have the best league in college basketball, the Big 12 Conference, here today. I'm rocking the WVU shirt. As you guys know, I am a Mountaineer fan. Hopefully, my boys can try to make a little bit of a run here in the tourney. But I'm ready to get started. I just want to say subscribe if you guys are new. We have daily college basketball March Madness coverage here on the channel. A ton of content dropping today. Every 2 hours or so today, we are dropping another conference tournament prediction. So we got the Big 12 first. A couple hours, we're going to drop the SEC, then the Big 10, Big East, and so on. So be on the lookout for that and subscribe so you guys don't miss them. But yeah, guys, let's get it started. So, first round, we have two matchups on Wednesday to kick off the Big 12 tourney in Kansas City. In our first matchup, we do have my West Virginia Mountaineers going up against the Texas Tech Red Raiders. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, coming into these predictions, I was actually kind of planning on taking Texas Tech. I like the way that Texas Tech played West Virginia the second time in Morgantown where they did win. And I kind of think that Texas Tech, might have a little bit of a matchup problem there for West Virginia. Although WVU did beat them in Lubbock and are a hot team right now, coming off of back-to-back wins over Iowa State on the road and Kansas State at home. I am going to take West Virginia, though, because earlier today it came out Mark Adams actually got suspended as the head coach of Texas Tech, and he will not be coaching in this game. More details to come out on that later, but he said something that was not tolerated. It was not good. More information will be coming out on that soon, but I don't think Texas Tech is going to be able to get that win. I think West Virginia, they're a hot team right now. They won it. Give me WVU to move on to round two. Next game, we do have Oklahoma State as our 7th seed going up against Oklahoma as our 10 seed. And I try not to overthink this pick too much because the Pokes have had Oklahoma's number. I think it's a matchup problem. They swept Bedlam this season and beat up on Oklahoma pretty bad, so I'm not going to overthink this one too much, even though Grant Shearfield and them boys, they have a really solid team there at Oklahoma. It's a really tough league. I think they got a bad matchup with Oklahoma State, and even though they could win this game, I'm just trying not to overthink it too much because Oklahoma State did sweep them on the year, and I'm thinking the Cowboys get it done here once again. So, first round is over. We're on to the quarters here on Thursday, and we have a good matchup here to start us off in the 4-5 between the Baylor Bears and the Iowa State Cyclones. Baylor actually just lost to Iowa State on Saturday at home in Waco, and they lost pretty bad in that game. Iowa State, they were struggling there for a while, but then they made some changes. They kicked Caleb Grill off the team. Maybe a team cancer there on the team because as soon as they kick him off the team, they're getting a big-time win on the road after struggling pretty bad. Gabe Kalicher, Lipsley, you got Darren Holmes going up against Keontae George, who is back, Adam Flagler, LJ Cryer. I mean, this game is going to be fun, and I do kind of favor Iowa State here a little bit in this matchup. And the reason why, not only did they just beat Baylor, but I do think the way to beat Baylor is by having a pretty good big man on your team. And I do think a Sonny is a good enough big man to do a little bit of damage here on Baylor. And I do think it is a lot closer than the game on Saturday. But I am going to take Iowa State actually to pull off this 5-4 slight upset here in this game. I just think Baylor, I don't think Flo Thamba is that good of a big man, honestly. And the Big 12 doesn't have very many good bigs in the first place. So if Baylor can get past Iowa State, I think that they could make a deep run, but I am going to take Iowa State here to win this one. Next up, we do have WVU as our 8 seed going up against 1-seeded Kansas. And, man, this is not that tough of a pick. I am going to go with Kansas, but West Virginia did play Kansas close, last time in Lawrence, and they had a lot of turnovers in that game. But I do think Kansas losing to Texas could be a slight blessing in disguise for them, because sometimes the team just has to lose, and that kind of wakes them up a little bit. They kind of tightrope a little bit, and scrape by a couple of games, and then once they finally lose one, they usually bounce back and go on a big time run. And I'm kind of thinking Kansas, they lost one at a good time, and now they're going to bounce back, and they should be able to get past West Virginia, because that whenever Kansas faced WVU in Morgantown, I was at that game, blew them out of the water, and were shooting lights out. They were not able to shoot as well against West Virginia in the second round, but they were still able to come out of that game with the win. And I do think to beat Kansas, they have to have an off shooting day, and Grady Dick has been struggling a lot in the last few games. I feel like for the Big 12 tourney, Grady Dick is going to turn it on, and he is going to have a huge game against West Virginia and shoot it lights out, and Kansas moves on to the semifinals. Next matchup, we do have the Texas Longhorns going up against Oklahoma State, and this is an upset I could definitely see happening. However, I do think Texas is going to win this game. I think they have really good guard play, better guard play than Oklahoma State. Sir'Jabari Rice is the sixth man of the year, not only in the Big 12, but in all of college basketball, in my opinion, and he is huge to have off the bench. I think that he can provide a spark in this game that will help Texas win. And even though Texas does have some pretty good bigs, that does balance out pretty well against Texas's bigs, I still think that Texas has the better athletes in their front court, and it's going to be enough for the Longhorns to move on past them. Texas moving on in this one. Next up, we do have Kansas State versus TCU, round 3. This is going to be an amazing game, no doubt about it. Kansas State, Marquise Noel going up against TCU's Mike Miles. It's going to be amazing. Those are two of the best players in the conference, 100%. And I'm kind of feeling TCU in this matchup for round 3. I'm kind of feeling it. For matchup number 3 between these two, I like TCU to win the 6-3 upset. And the reason why is because I think, Marquise Noel, yes, he is an outstanding player, but I do feel like sometimes he can struggle to score. And I think TCU's defense between Damian Ball and Mike Miles, those are lengthy guards, a lot of size on Marquise Noel in those matchups. And TCU, they can force a lot of turnovers and get out in transition and be ahead of you like that, man. And I'm taking the Horned Frogs to force a lot of turnovers, get out in transition, and defeat the Wildcats here in this one. TCU moves on to the semifinals, but that one is a very 50-50 game. It could go either way, but I'm thinking TCU, coming off of actually a loss against, Oklahoma on Saturday. I think they turn it on for this one. Give me TCU to move on. All right, so we have our semifinals matchups set, and we do have Iowa State going up against Kansas. Now, Iowa State did beat up on Kansas a little bit when they came to Ames this year, and Iowa State could definitely win this game. I could see them building up some momentum, winning their last game of the season against Baylor, beating Baylor again in the quarterfinals in a close game. I think that one's going to be super close, so they could start to build some momentum. However, I do think that Kansas is going to win this game, because Jalen Wilson, I don't think anyone on Iowa State is going to be able to stop Jalen Wilson. They have a lot of really good guards on that Iowa State team, but Jalen Wilson, best player in this league, he's going to have a day. And I also believe that Grady Dick shoots the lights out for the second game in a row, back-to-back 20-point games by Dick against West Virginia and Iowa State, helps Kansas move on to the semifinals. Also, KJ Adams' defense on a sunny there on Iowa State could be a key factor as well. Dejon Harris Jr.'s defense on Gabe Kalisher is going to be huge as well, because Gabe Kalisher has been a beast this season. I mean, he is going to be shooting lights out, shooting faders, shooting deep threes, off the dribble pull up middies. Dude is a beast, and he's not going to be easy to stop. But Dejon Harris, one of the best defensive point guards in the country, I think he can slow him down, not stop him. Kansas, however, does move on to the championship game. So our next and final semifinal matchup, we do have Texas going up against TCU, and we just saw this matchup not that long ago. TCU did win that game by 3 in Fort Worth, but Mike Miles only had 3 points in that game. TCU was still able to pull off the victory, and I do like the matchup here for TCU. Like I said, TCU is the best transition team maybe in the country, definitely in the Big 12, and they like to push the pace, force the turnovers, and, like I said, score in transition. And I do think, as good of a backcourt as Texas has, I do think that TCU has the better backcourt there with Mike Miles and Damian Ball. I think I like that backcourt more than Marcus Carr and Tyrese Hunter. Although it is close, I think I would take TCU's backcourt. But if you do factor in the bench along with Sir Jabari Rice, you would say Texas's backcourt is better, and he does get a lot of minutes, so you do have to factor that in. I think for TCU to win this game, it would take a massive game on both sides of the court by Emmanuel Miller, and I think he does it. Offensively, defensively, Emmanuel Miller gets it done, and TCU moves on. Eddie Lampkin going up against those really good athletic bigs on Texas, and Timmy Allen, and Dylan Mitchell, who's going to be matched up against Emmanuel Miller. Emmanuel Miller has to win that matchup, force some turnovers there when he does have the ball. But Timmy Allen, you got Christian Bishop, you got Dylan Dessou, really good athletic bigs. Eddie Lampkin is going to have to play really good defense and win the board battle in that game as well. And I think they do it. I'm going to take the Horned Frogs to get this upset. 6 over a 2 seed. TCU moves on to the championship to face Kansas, and we get Kansas versus TCU game 3. They split the season series 1-1. Both the road teams actually getting it done in those matchups, and maybe you would consider TCU to be the road team in this matchup, considering this tournament is being played in Kansas City, which is, right beside Lawrence, Kansas. And I think I'm going to take the quote-unquote road team to do it again. I know it's a neutral site, but like I said, Lawrence is literally right next door. And I'm going to take TCU to win and cut down the nets in Kansas City and win the Big 12 tournament in 2023. I just think that this TCU team, if there's ever a year that TCU is going to win the Big 12 tourney, it is this year. They have an amazing team. They can definitely get hot. And this is the best league in the country, man. Literally 1 through 6 for sure could easily win this tournament. I could even see Oklahoma State, if they can get past Texas, they could make a run. West Virginia, if they can somehow pull off a big upset over Kansas, they could make a run. There are definitely 6 teams. The top 6 seeds can easily win this tourney, and I really like TCU in game number 3 against Kansas. Whenever they did beat them in Lawrence, they beat them up in that game, and they forced a lot of turnovers. And Grady Dick has an amazing tourney, but I think that Mike Miles is going to play a really good defense on him in this game and win that matchup. I do think that Damian Ball is going to be huge in this game at the point guard position there for TCU. Emmanuel Miller has to continue to play really good defense because he is going to be matched up against the Big 12 Player of the Year in Jalen Wilson. And Eddie Lampkin, I think that he can dominate the matchup down low there with KJ Adams Jr. So I am going to take the Horned Frogs to cut down the nets in Kansas City this year. Let me know what you guys think about my Big 12 tournament predictions down below. And like I said, every 2 hours, man, we're dropping another conference tournament prediction. So let me know which one you guys want to see next. And yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching.